Shalom, 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 yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Shem Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called, "And smite Egypt with plagues as before." And smite Egypt with plagues as before. All right, first and foremost, give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, call halal YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is YAHAWAH, and His only begotten Son, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is YAHAWASHI. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the RAWCHAA. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who ruled well to the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom, all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom, all you Akim out there laboring on the highways, on the hedges, and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. Like I said, today's lesson is going to be called, "And smite Egypt with plagues as before." Okay? And as you see, another plague and pestilence has sprung up. Okay, let's just play this. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
This morning, global health officials and those in the U.S. are racing to contain a deadly hantavirus outbreak as new cases emerge linked to that cruise ship in the Atlantic. KLM Airlines now saying one of the ship's passengers, who later died from the virus, boarded a flight in Johannesburg before crew members decided she was too sick to travel. Dutch health officials are now contacting the passengers who were on that plane. Meanwhile, Switzerland has confirmed a new case of the virus in a man who'd previously been on the ship, the first confirmed case in Europe. Here in the U.S., we learned overnight that people in at least 2 states, Arizona and Georgia, are being monitored. So far, no symptoms have been reported. The ship was initially carrying nearly 150 passengers and crew, including 17 Americans, but some passengers were allowed to leave the ship before the full extent of the outbreak was known. One passenger still on board was quoted by a Spanish newspaper saying 23 people disembarked at an earlier stop, adding, "There are 23 people wandering around there, and until 3 days ago, no one had contacted them." The World Health Organization says contact tracing is now underway.
It's an incubation time of about 1 to 8 weeks, where the symptoms are developing. It's like flu-like symptoms. You have pain, muscle pain, fever, feeling weak, etc.
The CDC says it will be monitoring the health status and preparing medical support for all of the American passengers on the cruise, adding the risk to the American public is very low. The rare virus is typically spread through exposure to rodents, but this particular strain can spread between humans through close, prolonged contact. 3 people who were on the ship have died. The ship is expected to dock in Spain's Canary Islands this weekend, where passengers will undergo health assessments before being sent home.
All right. So as you see, more pestilence and plagues. Okay. And, we saw what they did with the C-19. Okay. And what more, it's time, to do another round. Okay. And hopefully this time it's going to be, for the implementation of Revelation 13:16. All right. In the 19, what do? They shut everything down. And then, for everybody for a while. All right. This one is going to be the shutdown and the reset. Okay. But, man-made or, it's all of YAHAWASHI at the end of the day. Okay. Because the scriptures talk about, how these plagues and pestilence, they're going to be like a woman in travail. Okay. So this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 3. It says, "As he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of the coming of the end of the world. And Yahawashi answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. All right. It says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, so the famines, the pestilence, earthquakes, the wars, the rumors of wars, all right, these nations rising up against these nations, all these things, have to take place. Okay, and all these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, because when you go to Second Ezra, Salakia, Second Ezra 15 and verse number 5, it says, behold, saith Yahawah Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay? It says, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth. And it says, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Okay? So these things are done. All right? This is Yahawah Shai said, for the wickedness, all right, has polluted the whole earth. Okay? And he was going to bring the plagues upon the world. All right? The sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay? Let's see. Verse 10, it says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Okay, and it is mentioned in ancient Egypt. All right, and here we are in modern day Egypt. Okay, so those plagues and those different things are going to be coming, as before. All right, it says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten. It says, with the plagues and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Okay. All right, let's jump down. Let's go to verse number verse number 27, 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 27, says, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For the Most High shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Okay? So these plagues and all these things were sent, all right, as scourges for the earth. All right, just as their evil, the Lord has sent out spirits of vengeance, okay, in these times. All right, these are the same things. All right, verse 49, it says, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. Okay, verse 16, it says, I'm gonna just jump to the point. Verse 5, it says, plagues are sent unto you, and what is he? And what is he that may drive them away? It says, may any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may any one quench the fire in the stubble when it had begun to burn? Okay. And that ultimate plague that the Lord is going to be sending is going to be that fire by those nuclear weapons. Okay. So it says, verse 14, it says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they have come upon the earth. All right. And ultimately, the Lord said that these plagues and pests, they're going to be like a woman in travail. Okay. Verse number 37, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, It says, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Okay? And what did Ezra said, verse 17, he said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars and power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. And what shall I do when these evils shall come? Okay? And this is the time, all right, that you got to get yourself right with YAHAWASHI. Okay? Because these plagues are going to continue to plague the earth, basically. Okay? And it's going to be as a woman in travail. All right? So when one subsides, another one pops up. And then as a woman who's giving birth, right, those contractions get quicker and quicker. All right? So these plagues, these pestilence, and these different things, they're going to get quicker and quicker, all right, more frequent upon the earth. Okay? Until what? Until that sudden destruction, that ultimate plague, all right, which is those thermonuclear fire, all right, those ICBM missiles with the nuclear warheads, all right, torch this place at the end of the day, all right. And you can read about, the consequences, the plague that the Lord is going to bring upon those. And what is that? Zechariah 14:12, all right. With that fire, it's going to melt the flesh off of people, their eyes, all right, and their ears, all right, off of their eyes and their tongue, I believe it says. All right. So, this is just another, reminder, all right, of the times that we're living in. Okay. These are the times that you consider the things that are happening and understand the times that we're living in. Okay. So with that, I just wanted to make this a quick lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying. All right. But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call HALAL YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, a mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Another mighty shalom to the rest of the elect in the household of faith. All right, stay diligent, stay focused, keep praying for one another. All right, and what's funny is, because I remember at camp, I had brought up this guy who lived on a cruise ship, right? And he was, he had spent 28 years living on a cruise ship. All right. And then now all of a sudden, right, it was like a couple days later, they talked about how they had this virus on the cruise ship, right? So that's the thing, right? Air, land, or sea. All right. You're not exempt from YAHAWASHI's judgment at the end of the day. The Lord can reach you wherever he needs to reach you. He can get you wherever he needs to get you at the end of the day. That's why, you should fear YAHAWASHI. Okay? So, all right. I just leave it at that. All right. So with that, I say a ball, and shalom.